What's up everybody, Kinetic here, and welcome back to Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls. In this video I'm going to be talking about my Crusader fire build that I've been experimenting with, but more specifically I'm going to be talking about a particular legendary that kind of inspired me to mess around with fire a little bit more instead of lightning and physical, which is mostly what I was using before, and that's the one-hand legendary flail called Inviolable Faith. I believe that's how this is pronounced. What's really interesting about this flail is casting Consecration also casts Consecration beneath all of your allies. Now normally I have absolutely no interest whatsoever in Consecration. It doesn't seem to heal all that much. Some of the runes are kind of interesting, but most of them don't really thrill me all that much when it's only casting especially one Consecration in the area. Even one of the runes in particular, I think, is really only good for probably single player, and that would be like Fearful, which is a holy. Enemies standing on consecrated ground have a 100% chance to be feared for 3 seconds. Now this could be, I suppose, like a nice oh shit button for you and your party, but for the most part I don't feel like you really want to be fearing your enemies all over the place when you're in a party, because a lot of people like to place down things specifically where monsters are at the time, and so that way they do damage where the monsters are. So if you're fearing enemies around and stuff like that, then you're probably screwing over your party and what they're trying to achieve with AoE ground effects and things like that. So that's probably a no-no. But Shattered Ground is the one and only fire rune here for Consecration. Enemies standing on consecrated ground take 155% weapon damage as fire per second. I believe this was recently bumped up. I think it was around 90 something or whatever until they patched it. Now it's doing 155. So this may be viable. Maybe. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've actually got a new set of Reaper's Wraps that have fire skill, deals 15% more damage. Unfortunately, this is really the only piece of equipment that I have that gives me additional fire benefit, but if I'm feeling like this fire stuff is a lot of fun or whatever, then I might go ahead and try to push more elemental fire damage in my gear. But as it is, I'm really happy with my stats in general, with my critical hit chance, crit hit damage, my cooldown reduction, things like that. Like, I'm really liking where my stats are, basically. So, you know, and this will vary from person to person, but as with all of my builds and things like that, this isn't really a gear essential type of build. Like, you need so many different pieces in order to make this work. I mean, this is of course focusing on the one-handed flail, but aside from that, I think that this, like all of my builds that I've talked about before, can certainly be tested out and tried and probably enjoyed just as much with a variety of different types of pieces and things like that. But anyway, let's look at the other skills that I've got going on here. I pretty much replaced all of my runes and a lot of my skills actually in order to try and push more fire into this fire build. Instead of using Justice, I'm now using Slash, which has a guard fire rune, and Ignite the Air in front of you, dealing 230% weapon damage as fire. The cool thing about this is gain 5% increased armor for each enemy hit. This stacks up to 5 times. This is really good, I think, for trying to push into higher tiers of torments and things like that. I'm now in Torment 6 actually. I'm just doing this in Torment 3 because I'm kind of wanting to comfortably test around and see what the effects are with the Consecration and things like that. I almost feel like I'm kind of squeezing this in. I still love Phalanx, but there's no fire rune for Phalanx, unfortunately, with the bowman. It's all physical, I believe. So I feel like I'm kind of squeezing this in here just because it's fire. But 30 seconds isn't really that bad of a cooldown. In Falling Sword, I have really enjoyed in the past. With Superheated, it could be very good. The ground you fall on becomes superheated for 6 seconds, dealing 310% weapon damage as fire per second to all enemies who pass over it. So that will be really, really cool, I think. Fist of the Heavens, again, this is a big part of almost all my builds. But instead of the forgot the name of it actually, Fisher, instead of the Fisher rune, I've actually turned to Heaven's Tempest. Summon a fiery storm that covers an 8-yard radius for 5 seconds, dealing 100% weapon damage as fire every second to enemies who pass underneath it. So that's pretty interesting. Consecration, of course, with the Shattered Ground Bombardment with Annihilate. This is already here, actually, in my build before. It used to be physical, I believe, but they recently changed it to fire, if I remember correctly. And I really like Prophet, but again, I'm kind of like squeezing in some like fire just to see what happens. Akarat's Champion with Firestarter. Explode with power of your order, increasing blah 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 blah. Dealing damage burns enemies with the power of Akarat, dealing 460% damage as fire over 3 seconds. So each time I deal damage, it burns them with a nice dot for 460 over 3 seconds. Sounds pretty sweet. I haven't done anything to my passives. These are all the same passives that I'm using, and it kind of sucks because now Lord of Commander is really only giving bombardment a benefit, but it's still a really nice benefit, reducing the cooldown by 35%. But normally, yeah, Phalanx would be here with me because it increases the damage by 20% and is amazing. Fervor, of course, because I really like the attack speed increase for the one-hand weapon, and Finery because, well, I've got tons of gems all over my body. It's really good stuff. Anyway, so let's demonstrate really quick what this Consecration effect is like with the I'm just going to call it the Faith Flail, can I? Because saying inviolable is just, I don't know, it almost makes me want to puke for some reason. But anyway, we're just going to call it the Faith Flail. And so when I would normally do this, it would just cast a, here, let me show it like this. With my Dark Light, normally it would just do it here, right? Surrounding me, and you can see how much it is burning as far as the size of the radius and for how long that's burning. Now this is on a 30-second cooldown, so just past, I would say, yeah. It says 10 seconds, but it seems to me that that was, well, oh, that's right, of course, because I've got the cooldown, right? I've got 33% cooldown, so it's already like halfway through its cooldown by the time it's getting ready to be ready again. All right, now let's do it with the Faith Flail. Now, this is interesting because it actually works with your followers as well. So I cast it, and Cormac also gets a Shattered Ground effect around him. So you can see how this works and how much ground, even with them like overlapping each other, how much ground this can cover in an area. And then, of course, if you consider that with 4 people in your party, you can pretty much cover like at least 50%, I would think, of the ground that you and your party is standing on when you're fighting a pack of elite mobs or whatever, going through rifts and things like that. Plus, the really nice thing about this is the effect does stack. So even though these two circles are overlapping each other, it's not just a single amount of damage. The effect is combining, so it's doing pretty much twice as much damage in that spot to enemies that are within that area. So for me, this is really, really fun because as I've used in the past the Fisher with Dark Light and Fist of the Heavens, it was a really fun tactical way of playing the Crusader, as I could place down before, like lots of different Fist of the Heavens, and they would connect with the Fisher rune to, you know, have the arc lightning and stuff like that. And it had me just thinking like a little bit more about what I was doing and things like that. Now I've kind of also got that effect now with my Consecration. As I'm running around and my party and I are approaching monsters or whatever, let's see, let me just show you guys what I'm talking about. I'll go ahead and let those guys, for example Cormac, be in that area, and then I'll try to specifically move to another area where I can cast Consecration and take up a bigger area with the Shattered Ground like that. Or if I really want to get the effect to stack, then I can do that as well. I can go, okay, one of my party members is over there, that's where I'm going to stand, right where he is, and the Consecration effect will stack on top of each other like that. Really, really cool stuff, I think. So, I mean, for me, that's a big part of what I enjoy about the Crusader is I think a little bit more tactically about where I'm using my abilities and things like that, not just spamming crap all over the place. That tends to really bore me with classes, and so I'm really trying to avoid that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to dismiss Cormac because I want to fight Azmodan on my lonesome with this, and just see what the what this build compares to versus my previous kind of lightning and physical damage combination that I did before. Safety not guaranteed. What is that? I don't even know. What is that? Kill Azmodan at max level without crowd control. Oh, okay. Huh, I'm surprised I didn't have that before.
Your flesh.
My flesh! How fast was that? Let's find out. Okay, so I went back and I timed it, and it took me 30 seconds to kill Azmodan with that fire build. What I've done now is I've switched back to my Swift Justice build, which was using Justice with Burst, Phalanx Bowman, Fist of the Heavens with Fisher. Bombardment is the same. We've gone back to Laws of Valor and Critical, and I've decided to leave Akarat's Champion with Firestarter because it doesn't seem, I don't think it's going to make a difference to improve my damage with a Prophet in this situation. All my passives are going to stay the same, and the only things that are changing with my weapons and my armor is I've changed from my new Reaper's Wraps, the fire, to my Reaper's Wraps with physical. The old Reaper's Wraps, or excuse me, the new Reaper's Wraps are actually more powerful than these by just a smidgen, with a little bit more toughness. And the Dark Light, here's the thing, the Dark Light is actually, compared to the Faith Flail, significantly underpowered. I get more survivability, but less damage. But we'll see how it compares.
My servants will be enough. The dark power. Arrogant Nephilim, but enough. The dark power. Arrogant Nephilim, my servants will feast on your...
My wrath is low.
That was pretty fast. I'm gonna be anxious now. I'm gonna be really anxious to check through his times now. So the results of this testing has been really interesting to me. On one hand, I was kind of expecting this this fire combination to be about the same, maybe a little bit better, maybe just a little bit worse than my previous build, the Swift Justice, which I've showed off before. But what I did to compare this is I went back to the Azmodan fight and I fought him 2 times with my old Swift Justice build, and I timed it, and it's actually 5 seconds, about 5 seconds faster with my Swift Justice build than it is here with this Fire Crusader build. And in fact, actually, I repeated this fire build again against Azmodan, and for whatever reason, it took me nearly an additional 5 seconds on top of that. So it takes about 25 seconds, long story short, with the Swift Justice build to kill Azmodan. With this fire build, it took me 30 to 34, 35 seconds to kill Azmodan. So I don't know what really to make of this, like, completely. I think that while on one hand some of these timing differences are a little bit minuscule, but again, I'm thinking back to when I talked about the Swift Justice build. Those bits of time certainly add up as you were going along in Rift and things like that, in a party, trying to push into higher torments and things like that. I really think that that can definitely make a difference. So again, the differences in gear were that I am using a fire skill bonus for these Reaper's Wraps. That's mostly the major difference there. 5% I don't think is giving me 5 seconds faster with my Swift Justice build in terms of the physical damage increase there. Particularly since I believe that it was only Phalanx that was benefiting from that, if I remember correctly. And actually, the Dark Light Flail is even weaker than this Faith Flail. So it's really, I can't say any more than that. It's just really, really interesting to me, the results of this. I'm actually a little bit more, in a sort of twisted way, proud of my older build now than I am of trying to experiment with this fire build. These are the skills, once again, that I was using with the fire build. I did also, if you're wondering, will maybe switch out Fist of the Heavens for Blessed Shield, because everybody loves to use Blessed Shield and rave about this. If you have that special flail that makes that like a free cast, then yeah, perhaps that could be really cool. But as it was using the Blessed Shield, when I tested that, it actually took me 1:14 seconds. Just changing Blessed Shield out from Fist of the Heavens with Heaven's Tempest, it took me 1:14 to kill Azmodan. So really interesting results. I want to know what you guys think. I think this is really interesting results. Not a lot of big changes here for gear or for skills. A lot of elemental changes, but not big changes other than that. And the results, yeah, pretty much are speaking for themselves. 5 seconds difference with my old build to this build. And wow, a staggering like 1:15 seconds nearly, just swapping out Fist of the Heavens and using Blessed Shield instead. Let me know what you guys think about all of this down in the comments section. I'm also curious to hear what you may be using, if you are using a fire build of your own, if you think that I should try to switch out some skills for different ones and try again with this testing, or maybe you want to test it yourself under the same situations. I'd be curious to know what you guys think overall. Let me know in the comments section. Click the like button to support Diablo 3 videos, and stay subscribed because more videos are coming up soon. Thanks again for watching. My name is Kinetic. I'll see you next time.